Hi there, and welcome to the Accepted Authority podcast, where we deal with particular issues that help you increase your authority and attract more premium level clients so that you can grow your business and thrive in the current market. My name's Greg Roworth, and each week we bring you particular topics that are relevant to growing your consultancy practice. And today I want to talk about the challenges that people have and maybe mistakes that many consultants are making when using a white paper or an ebook as a what's typically called a lead magnet. Now, for those who don't know, a lead magnet is a piece of content or information that is of value to your ideal clients. And it's typically used in the initial stages of attracting your clients so that they start the buying journey and go through a process of learning about you and learning about your value to them so that they can choose you as the provider for them. Now, for people using a white paper or an ebook, and I use those terms interchangeably. In some circles, a white paper is more common terminology, but the concept of an ebook has become very popular over the last few years. Now, what this white paper or ebook does is enables your potential client to download information from the internet, from your website typically, where they're not quite ready to engage your services and they're not ready to have an initial conversation with you. And this is a great little tool to use as a first step, as a nice little no pressure step that a client can take to learn more about you. And the value of this sort of white paper or ebook is that the client can learn about you in a way that's not promotional. So what's really important with this process is that you don't do any selling in this process. Now, one of the big mistakes that a lot of people make is that they're promoting rather than positioning. And we've talked about that concept many times on this podcast in the past. What tends to happen with promotional type content where it's all about you, the sort of promotional content that you see on many consultants' websites is here's what we do, here's who we are, here's what we do. So it's all about you. The problem with that is that the client isn't interested in you. The client is only interested in the problems they have and how to get them solved. So a white paper or an ebook can be a really valuable tool for you to help you educate your client about their problems and about how they can solve those problems without overtly putting you in the frame as the one who's going to solve them. Now, what tends to happen if you're not promoting yourself, if you're not pushing yourself as the solution provider, what will happen is that the client will attribute the value of that information to you. They will see that you're an expert and authority in the field, and they will naturally want to talk to you about how you can provide that solution. So, counterintuitively, when you promote yourself and promote your services, you actually create barriers and create resistance in the clients because they don't like selling. I mean, who does? Who likes being sold to? So when you're selling yourself, when you're promoting yourself, your business, your services, you create barriers for the client. You create resistance that really puts people off and probably means that they have to jump through a number of different hoops emotionally to even get on the phone and start to talk to you about the services. So having an ebook or a white paper is a great first step where the client doesn't actually have to get on the phone yet. They want to know more about what you do and how you can solve their problems. Then you initially attract them by offering information that is more about them than is about you. It's more about their problems than it is about your solutions. And it's more about how they can get the problem solved, or maybe a better way to put it is, what is the best practice approach to solving the specific problem they have? Now, that best practice approach should be what you're doing to solve those typical problems that the client's coming with. But it's not about here's what we do, it's here's the best way to solve that problem. Now, that's the first mistake that a lot of consultants are making, is promotion rather than positioning content. But the second problem that a lot of consultants are making, or a second mistake that a lot of consultants are making in the white paper or the ebook, is they're just making that content about here's how to solve your problem. In other words, the typical type of title is, the 7 steps to, or the 7 keys, or the 5 secrets. You've seen hundreds of these before, I'm sure. Now, when you're just providing here's how to solve that problem and hoping that the value of the information you're providing is going to win over the client, then that's a false hope, because there's so much information like that on the internet. There's so much good information. Now, there's nothing wrong with the information you're providing, and I'm sure that it's quality information and it's valuable information. But most times the clients will read that information or consume that information in some format and say, wow, that was interesting. I'll see if I can do that. I'll take that away and see if I can follow the steps. And what tends to happen is that they won't be able to follow the steps because there's not enough information in that ebook to help them do that. How could there be, when you've spent years and years studying the situation and learning how to solve those problems, and the client's coming to a short ebook, maybe 15, 20 pages long, and thinking they can solve the problem themselves? But in a way, you've led them to that conclusion that they could solve that problem themselves because you've told them how to do it. So don't make the mistake of creating ebook content or lead magnet type content that is how-to style content, because that is not going to get you leads. As much as you hope it might get you leads, as much as you hope that your clients will see what an expert you are and that you know how to solve those problems, that content is not going to convince a client that you have, or that they need to jump on the phone and call you. And really, that's what you want from that sort of content, isn't it? You want the content to be read. You want the client to take an action of either making an email inquiry or jumping on the phone to say, hey, we need to talk. I think you're the person who can solve my problem. Now, that's what you want. But if you're creating that sort of content, how often do you get that result? Now, if you're not happy with the results you're getting from that type of content, I'm going to tell you there's a better way to do it. And that content is not how-to style content. It's what I call challenger type content. It's more about transformation than information. The how-to type content is all information, very informative content. But that informative content doesn't get results. What you need is transformative content. And that transformative content is content that challenges your client's beliefs. Because unless their beliefs are changed, they won't take action. People don't take action based on more information. They all take action based on a challenged belief. It takes getting them to think about, well, maybe I'm thinking about this all wrong. Maybe I didn't understand this right. Maybe there's a different approach to this. So it's more about changing their beliefs than informing them of how to solve their problem. So the transformational content you needs to start at the point where they're at. It needs to start around their problem and what they believe about their problem and the solutions for it. And often that is about challenging the typical or common way that your competitors are solving those particular problems. Often it's about challenging the way they may have sought to solve that problem in the past. Now, it's very rare when you come across a client who's never attempted to solve a particular problem before. Often they've tried many times to solve the problem that they're presenting with and have failed to have satisfaction in that. So they're coming to you with a hope that they might solve that problem, but with a degree of skepticism because they've been burnt before. Now, that means there are a couple of things you've got to overcome. Now, first of all, that skepticism that they're coming to you with, thinking, well, are you just another one of those guys or girls or people who say what they can solve your problem but end up disappointing? So you've got to overcome that situation, that problem to start with. The skepticism that your clients are presenting with, thinking, well, I'm talking to you, but I've got, huge doubts that you can actually solve my problem. So you've got to overcome that. And that's a belief that they have that you've got to overcome in your transformational content. Now, the second element of that is that they are in a fixed state of belief about their problem and about the potential solutions. So you've got to present a different approach. And that often means attacking the common way things are being done. You've got to overcome that skepticism by doing things differently. Because if you just present the same approach that other people have presented or other people have tried, and they've actually tried and failed with that approach, they're just going to write you off immediately. They're going to read that and say, wow, been there, done that, didn't work. No action on their behalf in your favor. So you must present an alternative to the other ways that they've tried in the past. You've got to have your own unique, specialized solution. And that's what you've got to present, and not how to. You've got to have more detail about the beliefs around their fixed position and their unbelief that they can solve the problem, and attack those other beliefs first before you present your solution. And when you come to presenting your solution, you don't want to go into all the detail of how to do it. You just want to highlight that there's a different approach and talk about the differences in the approach, not the how-tos, but how your solution is different from your competitors and different from the options they've tried in the past. Now, when they understand that it's different, the level of hope that they had when they started to read and engage with your content is maintained and probably enhanced, because they start to see, wow, here's something I haven't tried before. Maybe this is a thing that will work. Now, the key here is to build on that hope by elevating the level of trust they have with you. And you've got to demonstrate that by your approach that's different, but also the degree of confidence and knowledge you have about that approach. So, who else has used your approach and succeeded? What testimonials do you have? What case studies do you have? How can you demonstrate that you've used this approach in the past and that it's succeeded. That's the sort of confidence level that they need to be able to trust you and believe in you, that you have the track record of getting good results. You've got to show that track record in your content. You've got to demonstrate that you've done it before, that it's succeeded, and you've done it with the sort of people that they can associate with, the sort of people that they can see, yeah, well, we're the same as them. We have the same problem as they had. We've got the same likelihood then of achieving a better result. So the key to creating great content in an ebook or a white paper in your lead magnet is to do it differently from the way the majority of people are doing it. Don't make those two mistakes of giving content that is just how-to type content and the promotional type content that is all about you trying to sell your services. Make sure your content is transformational, that it attacks their beliefs and presents a different option that is believable. So they shift their belief to thinking, wow, the way we tried it before has failed, and you know, there's a different alternative to that we believe now can be the approach that will work for us. When they believe that, when they have that shift in their beliefs, that will mean they will take action. That will get them on the phone calling you to say, wow, I really like what I've seen from you. I think you've probably got the solution we need. Can we talk? Or how can we get started with that? That's the sort of result you want. That's the sort of result that gets you prominence and builds your authority in your market so that you can attract more premium level clients that give you the opportunity to do your best work and get your best results with the people that you work with. That's what I hope for you. That's what I'm looking for in this podcast, for you to see a different approach, a different way of doing things in marketing your services that actually gets you in front of more premium level clients that say, hey, please take me on as a client. I need your services and I need them now. Isn't that what you'd like? Well, if that's the case, find out more about how you can do that by going to my website at businessflightpath.com or looking up a search on LinkedIn or Facebook. Search for Greg Roworth. You'll find more of my content that I hope will help transform your beliefs about how you can solve your problems of getting more clients and becoming the accepted authority. So that's it from me for this week. That's the Accepted Authority podcast. I look forward to catching you again next week.